There we go. All right, YouTube. It's Mr. Mean coming at you this Saturday morning, or 11:30 here in the States. But I got someone from across the pond. Yes, Mr. Mean was able to snag Feral Games Inc. himself, Mr. James Gantry. Say hello, sir.
Sorry, I was on mute. I'm Jay. I'm from Feral Games Inc. And I'm the lead writer, the layout person, the designer, and everything basically. And I'm sort of pretty much a one-man show, apart from when I grab others to come in. But yep, that's me. I am Feral Gamers Inc.
He is Feral Games, and so you've got a current Kickstarter going on right now. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we currently have the League of Seekers going on. It's actually only got 4 days left. It's a grimdark Lovecraftian horror game set in an alternate 18th century Europe. The players are seekers who are a secret society of basically monster hunters, really, if you like, who hunt out cults and monsters and bad guys, and it's very Lovecraftian. Very Cthulhu-esque. There's lots of investigation, shooting things with flintlocks, that sort of stuff. And it's set in Europe, but it was also going to be exploring the colonies as well of America, which is going to be quite cool. But it's all set in alternative Europe, so it's kind of a little bit different. Things have changed. Things aren't what they are like today in the real world. Things have changed because of things that happened in the past. So it's a little bit different. And we do things slightly differently as well. It's a percentile game. It's based on a D100 roll, which I know some people don't like, but it's going to be. We did that so it's easy to convert other games like Warhammer Fantasy and Cthulhu and so forth to it if they wanted to. We do sanity a little bit differently. We do things a little bit differently, but it's a cool game. It's a very good game. It's 400. I think it's like 400% funded almost.
Yeah, it's looking really good. It's also going to be in aren't you? I believe some of the Kickstarter stretch goals were reached. Is it going to be in Fate as well? The Fate mechanics?
Yeah, we're doing a Savage Worlds version and a Fate version. Yeah. We get people who actually converting it to Fate. Who does Red Dice Diaries?
Yes,
a guy from that, and also Lloyd from Modiphius is also going to be helping us convert it to Fate core. So that should be pretty cool.
Excellent. Now, will those be available when the Kickstarter ends? Will that be in the core book, or will they be separate splat books?
They will be separate books. Yeah.
Now, books or PDFs?
There will be PDFs and books.
Okay, cool. So you have the option you'll get both. Okay, excellent. Yeah,
when you basically back the Kickstarter, you can actually, when you get a pledge manager come through, you'll be able to check out what version of the game you want. So you can choose one of those as your main version. And then if you want to do a separate and add-on, say for Savage Worlds or Fate, you can actually do that as an add-on as well.
Because I'm a Savage Worlds. Everybody knows Mr. Mean loves his Savage Worlds. So I'm very excited, and I am a backer. So all you tools out there that say I'm shilling to get a free copy, I'm actually shelling out my own money. James didn't send me nothing, you cheap bastard.
Actually, I did send you something.
Well, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. See, he's trying to. Mr. Mean? You see how he does, Mr. Mean? I bring him on the show, and he stabs me. Man, damn limeys. We love you, man. We love you. I love your products. And of course, League of Seekers is doing really well. I'm very excited to see that it's doing so good. I'm excited to see it in Fate. I actually backed the original Fate 2.0, whatever Fred Hicks is calling it. I got those books. It was one of the first Kickstarters I ever did, and it produced really well. The book is gorgeous. All the peripherals that came out with it are fantastic. So I'm excited to see League of Seekers in Fate as well as Savage Worlds. And of course, being a percentile system, Mr. Mean likes his percentiles. I'm excited to see that because you can incorporate that. Even if you don't want to play the game, you could steal that information for your Call of Cthulhu game or Cthulhu by Night or whatever it is that whatever your game du jour is. You can definitely get it in there. So I'm excited to see. And it closes when?
4 days. So
4 days. Yeah, guys, you monkeys out there, get your pledges in quick. All right. We want to make sure this thing, it's already 400+%, right?
Yeah, we've got a few more stretch goals
to be made. It's going to happen.
Yeah, well, we've got a couple more stretch goals to hit. We've got the Dreamlands, which would be really cool to do because that'll be an extended Dreamland section in the book. And we're also got another. One of the things we're doing is a future cults thing, which is basically set in the League of Seekers in the future, kind of like a Blade Runner type world. And then we're doing this new stretch goal, which is set in the game back in the Crusades, where you get to play as a Templar Knight or a member of the Assassins Muslim Order, who are the original Seekers. The original Seekers were the Muslims from this assassin order that existed in the 12th century.
That sounds really cool.
So you could play as that as well. And the other good thing is we've actually spoken to, this might be something you'd be interested in, we actually spoke to Daniel Fox, who created Zweihander.
Zweihander, yeah.
We're hoping to be able to make characters for Zweihander so you can play Seekers within Zweihander.
Oh, that'll be phenomenal. I'm hoping to get Daniel on the channel too. He's been super supportive of Mr. Mean Speaks, as well as you have, and I appreciate all the love and attention you guys have thrown my way. So this is my little coup to you guys to really help push your games, and I want to see you guys do really well because the games are. I mean, I've looked at some of the stuff for League of Seekers. You know, obviously I'm a backer, and I mean the art. Who's the main artist for the game?
We have two artists. We have Nick, who's going to be doing. He does all the main sort of panel art you see in there, the black and red stuff. And then we've got another guy called Cody who does the character art. And it's all going to be sort of black and red. It's all going to have that kind of black and red sort of thing going throughout the game. Spooky. Yeah. And yeah, we love the artwork. As soon as I saw, sort of Nick's art, I thought this is perfect. This is exactly what you want. This is a feel we want to get across. This kind of dark, grim, sort of 18th century kind of feel to the world. And there's quite a few little surprises in the game as well, things that people aren't maybe not aware of that will become aware, and that'll be quite exciting for them as well. Little bits and pieces.
Now, one of the things for League of Seekers I remember reading is basically it's one of those, the more monsters you kill, the more monster you become. Is that correct?
Well, how it works is that you have a humanity, and the more you learn, and the more you discover, you lose humanity. You gain dark knowledge, which means you know more about what's going on, but you also lose humanity. And on certain moon phases, you have to roll for your humanity. And if you lose your humanity, you become more animalistic. And you can actually turn completely, almost like lycanthropes. You become more animalistic and you become more aggressive. The world becomes more aggressive as well on certain moon phases. There's more monsters around. It becomes more sort of terrifying. And sanity works in a different way as well. As you lose sanity, you don't gain, you suddenly don't become claustrophobic or anorexic or whatever, right? You actually basically, as you lose sanity, you see more of a world as it really is. So the world becomes darker, and you witness things. It's almost like the insane people are the ones with the most knowledge. They understand. What
I like that, because as a GM, that's very descriptive. You could tell a player character that, that guy walking over there looks really gaunt. And then when that guy looks at you, you see maybe he's really a zombie or something that's not totally human, but nobody else sees it but him. So is he going crazy, or is he seeing something that others don't see? That's a really cool thing to put into the world. And I've used that kind of concept in my horror games that I've run, like for Call of Cthulhu, or for what's the other horror game? I can't think of it right now. Mr. Mean's old, so he doesn't remember things very well. Your video feed there is coming in a little foggy. Like, I don't know if your camera's not focusing.
All right, maybe because I'm moving backwards and forwards on my chair.
Yeah. Sit still, damn it. See, man, these Brits, they can't sit still.
Did you think? But it's with insanity thing, certain monsters you can only see if you're insane.
Oh, that's even better. I like it.
Yeah. So if you want to fight certain things, you have to be slightly insane to be able to even see them. So
well, then that's a game for Mr. Mean. I think it's perfect. Let's see. So we've got League of Seekers covered. It's hitting soon. 4 days. How soon will we see physical copies in our grubby little hands, roughly? Because we know Kickstarter and printers, it's not an exact science.
No, it is. We're hoping to get the PDFs back by September, with physical books by October. We're getting on demand.
This year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Print on demand.
Bang for your buck here real soon.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Excellent. And I guess the other thing people might want to know if they haven't been to the site, which we'll put a link in the notes, but is there going to be a hardback version?
Yeah, there is.
That'll be an option?
Alternate cover, yeah, as well. Yeah.
Yes. Excellent, Smithers. Excellent.
We were planning on doing a leather-bound one, but we didn't have the time, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of money unless you're going to give me a promo copy because I'm cool. Which,
yeah, we're not doing it now. We just don't. We didn't have the time, and finding someone who could do it was.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, and I've dipped my hand into publishing a little bit, so I know what James is going through here. And you're 90% of these books are published. Are you doing China or are you doing Canada for your publishing?
We're doing Drive for RPG. It's going to be
so they're gonna go with either China or Canada, whoever's the cheapest. It typically tends to be China, which now you have to factor in the delay of the containers coming from China on a slow boat, as we say. So hopefully, September, October will be a good street date to hit live, and people can get it in their copy. I hope I can get you back on the channel back then to maybe show off the book a little bit. That would be awesome if you don't mind. Put him under pressure, guys. All right, so now let's go to my second love, Zombie Squad. Right. Let's talk about this because I did a review of it, and one of the things you said in the notes that really tickled me and made me, it makes doing the things I do worth it, is comments like that, is that you said he doesn't take the game too seriously. He gets the humor. And I don't know if that's saying I'm an insane son of a bitch or if you're an insane son of a bitch. So let's just assume we both are. And for those of you that don't know about Zombie Squad, why don't you tell them a little bit about it?
Okay, so the Zombie Squad is a role-playing game set in the future, where the players are members of a penal squadron, basically military prisoners that have been removed from death row with the option of joining a sort of a military unit that's going to do all the shitty jobs in the universe that nobody else wants to do. And that's what you play. You play this penal squadron group, basically going around the universe. I mean, the game is set in a way that you can actually play it as a military member, or you can just play it as a normal science fiction role-playing game as well. You don't have to be part of the penal squadron. You don't have to do that. You can just play it as a normal role-playing game. And it's kind of more like Firefly. You play transporters or smugglers or mercenaries or whatever. But yeah, the actual game is set around the Zombie Squad. The reason they call the Zombie Squad is that they all come from death row, so they're kind of like the Walking Dead. They're officially dead, but they're kind of still being used to do the crap.
They've got nothing left to lose and everything to gain.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
It's a softback book. You can't miss it. It's got a big skull on the cover of it. I wish I had my copy close at hand, but of course, prior planning prevents piss poor performance. And well, I'm piss poor performance because it's Mr. Mean, and that's how we do things. I got tons of books around me, man. I got painting on here. I've been painting miniatures. It's crazy. But Zombie Squad, if you guys haven't seen it, ask your favorite local game store to get a copy. It's a hoot, man. It's the character creation is it's one of the most unique ones I've seen in a role-playing game in a long time, and I really liked it. The options you get, you can play a psychic, you can play just nut crazy, you can play the I didn't do the crime kind of guy, I shouldn't be here, but yet you're here. I mean, there's a ton of options in the book. It's laid out really well. The mechanics are super easy. I think I don't want to call it a beer and pretzels game because I believe that's a disservice. I don't like RPGs that are referred to as beer and pretzels because it takes investment and it takes time to create a character. And granted, in this game, in Zombie Squad, you can have a character in about 10 minutes, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's quick. I'll say that the Zombie Squad at the moment is probably the game with our longest character creation in it. The League of Seekers actually is, you can have a character in less than that.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
And it goes into background, it goes into all sorts of things. So it goes into a lot of detail very quickly. And Ghost Ops is the same. But with a Zombie Squad, yeah, you can. And the good thing about the Zombie Squad as well is if you die, as long as somebody keeps hold of your brain, they just stick you in a cyborg and bring you back. And
yeah. There's no release. You're not getting away. You think you can just run out and take a bullet and it'll be over? No, it doesn't work that way.
Stick your head in somebody else and it's all good again.
So those of you out there that are watching Altered Carbon, the Netflix series, it has a little bit in common with that. So you basically have a sleeve, but it's more of a cyborg suit. There's psionic powers, and there's things that go bump in the night as well. So
yeah, there's monsters in there. There's weird sort of void stalkers who are kind of like these strange vigilante alien things that nobody knows where they come from. And there's ghost planets, ancient artifacts, and ancient sort of.
It's got everything, man. It's got everything. It really, and you know, and the way that I found out about Feral Games Inc. for the Mr. Mean squad out there is that he reached out to me. I didn't know about this game, and I live in a relatively small town, and our game store doesn't carry a lot of indie type games, because Feral Games, correct me if I'm wrong, is not sponsored by anybody. You're pretty much a one-man shop, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah, totally, yeah.
So you publish, produce, lay out everything.
Everything,
you're a man of many different hats, and I give you kudos, sir, because that's not an easy job. And the products you're putting out are fantastic, and I think more people need to know about them. Mr. Mean's going to do his best to share the love and hopefully make these games more popular, because you deserve to be out there in the limelight. Dungeons and Dragons is a fine game. I have nothing against it, but given my druthers, I'll play Zombie Squad any day over D&D. I mean, it's just that simple. It's or League of Seekers. I can't wait to get my grubby little paws on it. And then we've got we've beat those two games to death. And
just a quick word though, the Zombie Squad, actually, the Powered by the Apocalypse version is also out at the moment, and we're going to be bringing the pod version out soon as well. So
print on demand.
Yeah, so you'll be able to download the book for that, and that's got it's a blacker cover with a darker skull on the front, so you can't miss it. It's a bigger.
You just had to go one step darker, didn't you? You know, the light blue with the white skull, that wasn't ominous enough. You had to kick it up a notch.
Yeah, we call it the Death Row edition, so it's a little bit darker. So
you call it the what edition?
Death Row edition.
Death. Excellent. I might have to get that one, and that's print on demand.
That will be
Lulu or drive through.
We're working on it now, yeah. So
drive through or Lulu or both.
Drive through.
Drive through.
I'll let you know when it's available as a print on demand. Our backers get it first. We've been just sorting the covers out and stuff, and sometimes print on demand can be a little bit fidgety getting the covers right with drive through, because they send it back and reject it, and you have to keep on redoing it, and it can be a bit of a chore. But
was Zombie Squad a Kickstarter?
It was, yeah.
You see, I didn't even know about it. I mean, so man, all right. Well, any future Kickstarters, I expect you to give Mr. Mean a heads up so I can build it for you. Because like I said, I didn't know about it, man. When you sent me Zombie Squad, and of course I went to your Facebook page. The first thing on Facebook was Ghost Ops. So we're gonna segue, because I don't know anything about Ghost Ops, but it looks freaking cool. So tell us a little bit about Ghost Ops.
Okay, so Ghost Ops is. Basically, it's a modern day covert operations role playing game. So what you do is you play members of a group called the ICO, which is the International Covert Operations Unit, and they were formed after the 2015 attacks in Paris, where all the kind of military and special secret agencies and government officials and stuff got together during that whole time in Paris, when all the governments got together and held hands and proclaimed peace. They were in the background discussing how they were going to beat these kind of situations. So the ICO was created, and they're basically a no borders, no political group of, if you like, private military contractors who are taken from the special forces units from around the world and made into this ICO unit they're called Ghosts. And you play as one of these. You can choose what special forces unit you came from. So there's 12 countries in the book. Each one has between 1 and 3 different special forces units attached to it, from Delta Force to Navy SEALs to SAS to the Israeli Mossad. You can get law enforcement agencies as well, from SWAT, from Los Angeles SWAT teams to the Polish JW Grom. Right through, there's 12 different countries.
Wow.
And you can choose which one you come from, and each one has their own specialities and packages and so forth and stuff that you can also choose from. There's 5 packages in the game. There's Assault, Sniper, Recon, Engineer, and Specialist. And you can choose a package from one of those, and you gain the abilities from that. And so you basically play an operator. You basically play a modern covert operations character, doing all the things around the world, very similar to role-playing computer games like Ghost Recon and stuff like that. And the game is run on fudge dice.
Oh, so it is fudge backed.
It's not. Well, it is. It just uses the dice.
Oh, it just
anything else related to fudge.
So it doesn't use the fudge rules. It just uses the same plus and minus dice.
Yeah.
So it has its own proprietary game mechanic?
Yep.
Oh, and you created that?
Yep. Yeah.
Man, you're a genius.
And we also have a thing called bullet time in the game where you can actually slow down time. You can burst into a room. You can shoot the 3 bad guys. And it's all like a bullet time that you see in like movies and
Matrix and
so forth.
Copyrighted material. Please don't sue us.
So you can actually rappel down the side of a building, burst through the glass, shoot the 3 bad guys, save the hostage, all in one flowing movement. So
now you know, as a publisher, and Ghost Ops sounds like my cup of tea. If a complimentary copy was to be sent to me, of course a review would be forthcoming. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying it is an option. You know that.
We've got. Well, we've got the quick start coming out hopefully end of next week. We've got 2 quick starts coming out. There'll be a backer quick start, which all the backers get, which has got character creation built into it. And
this one, let me interrupt you real quick. This was a Kickstarter as well?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
My God, man, why am I not hearing about these things? So the Kickstarter's over, yes?
Yeah, well, you can still pre-order it.
Okay.
On the Kickstarter page is a pre-order button you can push, and you can pre-order it. And by pre-ordering, you get the backer quick start, which is basically going to have all the rules, character creation, and an adventure in the back. And then you've got the standard quick start, which will be free off drive-through, which will have pre-generated characters, be no character creation.
Oh, okay, great.
And it will have. And what we are doing is we're also going to be uploading the backer quick start onto drive-through, which you can buy for $15. And by buying it, when the game comes out, it instantly gets replaced by the full PDF, and you get that. So you're basically pre-ordering on drive-through
for $15.
$15, which is cheap enough. That's a Kickstarter price, yeah.
Man, and so you get the pre-release basically, which I assume won't have everything in it.
No, it doesn't.
And then once it releases on Kickstarter, or once it's completed, then you'll get a PDF. You'll get an email saying, "Hey, your book's been updated. Please download," and that will have the full. Man, that's amazing. That's super cool, man. That's that sounds. Now, I thought I saw something. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is it going to be Savage Worlds rules as well?
Yep, we're doing a Savage Worlds version as well.
See how I bring that around?
Yeah.
Love the Savage Worlds.
Yeah, we're doing a Savage Worlds version because we love Savage Worlds as well, and we want to do
fast, fun, and furious. I mean,
yeah, exactly. And with our book, with the core rules as the fudge dice, we are going to do skirmish rules in it as well, so you can actually play skirmish using fudge dice.
Oh, excellent!
I think it's the first time fudge dice have ever had a skirmish game.
I think you're right.
So you can also play a skirmish game with the Savage Worlds skirmish rules. So there'll be skirmish rules within the rule book, so you can play units against units and so forth. And so
I haven't seen the Kickstarter, and I apologize. Mr. Mean's life is crazy. We all know this. Was there or is there an option on the Kickstarter to get a set of fudge dice? Because a lot of people may not know what fudge dice are. Or are you providing a link to where to buy fudge dice? Because that's one of those things. You can't go into most game stores and buy fudge dice. They're few and far between.
We will be doing a link to Amazon and so forth. I mean, Amazon obviously sells them and things like that. We did actually approach Fate, Eric, about selling them, but I think he was a bit reluctant to let us do that. So, but you can buy it from various dice places online. And
Q Workshop makes a set.
Yeah,
they're out of Poland, and they're fantastic to do business with.
Exactly. So yeah, you can.
You have options, in other words.
But we also put in rules for using normal dice as well, so you don't have to use fudge dice. So
yeah, those that don't know, it's a D6 basically, and 2 sides are blank, 2 sides have a plus, and 2 sides have a minus. Yeah. And so they usually come in various colors. And fudge is a great system, but I'm curious to see how your system's gonna work with the fudge dice. I think that's really cool. Of course, Savage Worlds, I know it'll be fantastic, so I have no worries there. For the backers, are they going to get both rule sets, or is it going to be choose which rule set you want?
They choose which one they want.
Okay. So would there be an add-on if you want both?
Yeah, you can actually order the extra one if you want to. We're actually not sent out the Pledge Manager yet. We want to hold on to it until we sent out the quick start. So everybody could get to play the original rules before they made their decision. And I know a few people who have play tested with us. We play tested with them for community. We did about 4 or 5 play tests over a course of a month with people from our Ghost Ops Facebook group.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, not a lot of them, but a few of them actually said that they were going to buy the core rules over the Savage Worlds rules, so they prefer it.
Really? It was much faster, or just smoother play?
Just easier, and character creation was so quick, and yeah.
Awesome. If that's the case, I mean, you can't go wrong, you know?
Oh, exactly. No.
Yeah.
And with the skirmish rules, we're doing it so you can actually take your character from the role-playing game and put it into the skirmish game. Play them in the character, play your character in the skirmish game, then take it out of the skirmish game back into the role-playing game.
Now, is the experience that you garner in the miniatures game going to carry over? Oh man, that's super neat. So for those gamers out there that like to use miniatures in their game, and when you get that big climactic battle, say it's a hostage rescue scene, you know, and you've got the demilitarized zone in some third world country, and you've got to go in there and rescue the ambassador's daughter by the evil, you know, bad guys of whatever the world is called. You can earn that experience. You can actually play that out as a tactical miniatures game.
Yeah.
Oh man, and then bring it back to the RPG. You know, sitting around the table and, you know, theater of the mind, that kind of thing, when you're interacting with the NPCs. Man, that sounds fun. Now, that's my kind of game. I would be behind that 100%.
And the skirmish rules also involve vehicle combat as well, so you'll be able to do vehicles.
Excuse me, man. That so vehicle rules as well. In the using the fudge dice.
Yeah.
So your own mechanics.
Yeah.
So you've got Zombie Squad, which is a D6 based system, right? D20, but damage is on D6s, right?
Yeah, it's all D6s.
And character creation is pretty much on D6s, right? The start of.
Well, yeah, it's a mix between D6.
It escalates. It does use a couple other dice. Okay, so then we've got League of Seekers, which is going to be percentile. Now we've got Ghost Ops, which is kind of a fudge based, although it's not fudge. It's using those dice, right? Yeah. What are you calling? Do you have a name for the system?
We haven't. No, we were going to call it Fudgy.
Fudgy?
Fudgy or something like that. We don't. I haven't actually thought of a name for it. But
how about the Feral system?
I mean, Ghost Ops is the first in 3 games we're going to be doing using that system.
Yeah.
So we should really come up with a name for it, really.
Yeah, because I mean, not to put you on the spot, but you know, that's what Mr. Mean does. Remember, before the interview, I told you I wouldn't put you on the spot. I lied.
No, we should come up with a name. I can't think of one now.
I'll work with you later off air.
We'll come up with something. Like I said, there's another couple of games coming up which we're going to be using the same system, but different settings.
Can you say anything more about that, or is that still?
We got. What we want to do is with each of the games we release using the system, we want to have a unique little thing going on with it. So the next game we're going to be releasing is called the Black Iron, which is a dark fantasy role-playing game where without saying too much, there's 2 levels of society, as above and so below. It means very, very dark. But with that one, we're going to have fighting styles, and these will be kind of similar to the Bullet Time, where people can actually go into a room with a sword and take out all the bad guys by using different styles of fighting. And there could be a card-based system built into that as well.
Ooh.
Where you collect your cards for your fighting styles and you place them down, and they've got a link. And as long as they link together, you can basically run it through.
Oh,
and then after that, sometime in probably the end of 2019, maybe beginning of 2020, we'll be doing The District, which is our post-apocalyptic game, which has got a memory mechanic in it, where you build your character's background whilst playing the game and remembering stuff from things like triggers. And as you trigger things, you remember stuff, you gain more abilities and more skills.
Oh, man, that sounds cool.
And it's a world, basically, it's post-apocalyptic, but there's a bit of a twist to it.
Man, that's... Excuse me while I hack up a lung. Dude, you got some cool... This is all coming out of your brain?
Yeah, that's all coming out of my brain.
Now, let me ask a personal question. Are you married?
I'm going to be soon, actually. We're getting married in about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Tell her to run. Run for her life. You're obviously not sane, and she should not do this. Now, is your betrothed a gamer?
No, not really. No,
See,
but
my
she
wife
does.
is not either, and she looks at me like I'm insane. And we all know Mr. Mean is insane. But yeah, my wife does not game. I tried to get her to play. I heard her laugh. I heard her. She's in there. Run, sweetie, run.
She well, actually, she does actually do. She did the star maps in the Zombie Squad.
Oh, cool. All right, so she's active in the community in the background.
She also does some of the layout as well. So
excellent. Well,
yeah,
congratulations to her. I mean, she's getting a fine gentleman. Mr. Mean is nothing but not mean.
I will say something else actually. Another thing that's coming up at the end of this month. It's not something we're doing. It's not one of my brain children or anything. It's actually a game we're kind of been collaborating on and helping with, and we're promoting. And there's a game called the Heroes of Iglika, and it's a sword and sorcery fantasy role-playing game that's coming out on Kickstarter end of February, and it's a great system. We've been playtesting it for I don't know, probably about 6 months now, and it's been really, really good. It's really fun. It's a great system. It's great little history behind it. Of a guy who's writing it, Ian. He's one of the people who's doing our Savage Worlds conversions for Ghost Ops. So it's a game he's done. So we're kind of helping promote it. It's not one of ours. It's one of his. But
right,
kind of behind it.
The love.
Yeah, we're going to be doing the layout for him stuff just to help him out and things like that, because we're very much community based, and we want to help people as much as possible. And so when people come to us and say, can you help us with this, we'll help them quite happily.
I think I turned you on to a young gentleman that was working on one of his games. And I think he reached out to you. And I is that going okay, or has it gone anywhere? Or
we had a chat about things, and I've not heard from him since actually. But I said, send me some stuff, and I'll help with layout and all sorts of things. So. But I don't think there was much he needed us to do, because he had a lot of it already planned and sorted out.
Yeah. And there's a review of that up on Mr. Mean side. The name escapes me right now because that's how good of a host I am.
It was the battle.
It was like a D&D battle game, but it wasn't D&D.
It was very miniature based. But I think he had pretty much all of it sorted. I mean, I don't think
there was much. The layout looked good, and I mean, I printed it off at work, of course. And had it spiral bound, and I don't have it. I don't know where it is, to be honest, in this mess that I call an office. But there's a lot of on my channel, I've done several small press reviews. James and I were talking about this off air, that the lack of support for the indie games. I mean, there's the popular games like Dogs in the Vineyard, which has a pretty solid following. And dare I say, I don't consider Dungeon World to be an indie press game anymore. I think they're Powered by the Apocalypse is the prime game, and then of course there was the subgenres after that. Dungeon World is you can go in almost any bookstore now and find a copy of Dungeon World sitting there. But the small press games like Feral Games Inc., the things that you're doing, the battle system that young man is doing, Zweihander, a lot of these indie press games that are coming to light, Tefra, Symbarum, these are great games that look at the production quality. And a lot of times these are guys that are like you, working out of their house or their basement or their garage, and just with a personal computer, and they're putting together some fantastic product. Yeah. I mean, I looked at Zombie Squad, and I said it in my video, in my review, James sent it to me as a review copy, and probably one of the neatest looking games I've seen. The layout was crisp and clean. It was different, colored paper. I mean, that stuff's not cheap, when you have to produce that and you're paying for it out of your own pocket. And I hope the game does well. I hope a lot of people like it. If I had more conventions in this area, I would go to them and I would run it to support it. I think it's a fantastic game. I'm definitely jonesing for League of Seekers. I'm going to see if I can throw some money at Ghost Ops, at least $15, because that's just too good of a deal to pass up. And I think, man, the fact that you're reaching out to these other small press game designers and helping them, with really no gain to yourself except the goodness of knowing that you're helping somebody. Whether you get a monetary kickback or not, that's neither here nor there. It's the fact that you've got some published games, you've got a successful Kickstarter. Well, 2 successful Kickstarters now, right? Or 3?
No, we've got 6 successful Kickstarters.
6 successful Kickstarters. And I never heard of you before, 3 months ago.
And I've helped 3 others become successful on Kickstarter as well by our input and help with sort of organizing their Kickstarter page and that sort of stuff. So,
well, let me ask you that. What do you do for a real world job, if I may be so bold?
This is my real world job.
It is. So you are 100% in.
Yeah. Basically, what happened was I had I got made redundant from my job, and
he got laid off.
Basically. Right. So because of the 2008, because of all the problems and stuff, that people just couldn't afford to keep us on this stuff, so I got laid off basically. And from that, I ended up homeless, and I basically was homeless for 3 years. I lived in France for a while. Somebody offered me a house in France, went over there, lived in France for a while, came back. And that's when I met my girlfriend. And at that point, I thought, well, I've got the opportunity now to do something with my life. Rather than keep on working for people who, I get minimum wage for or whatever. And I've always worked in bookshops and stuff before now. I've always been a reader. But I thought, well, I want to do something I want to do. So we chatted about it, and I said, look, I'm going to write some role-playing games, stick them up and drive through, see what happens. And she went, yeah, okay. So I did. I produced 3 role-playing games, which are completely free to download. They're still on there, actually. And they went really well. We got thousands of downloads on them.
What? Can you give me those titles?
The first one was called Delve. Another one was called The Super Secret Spy Agency. And then Zombie Squad was the third one.
Okay. Well, I've heard of Delve. I've seen Delve. And in fact, I think I might have even downloaded that one.
Right. And they weren't perfect. I didn't know a great deal about word processing and that sort of stuff. They were, they're not very good PDFs and so forth. And they went really well. And I thought, well, maybe this is something we could do. So we started working on a few other games that I kind of sold. A game called Undeath, where you play undead. You basically wake up dead after. So you're an undead thief, an undead cleric, an undead warrior, undead mage. You wake up dead, and in order to get to heaven, if you like, you've got to climb this mountain. And each level of the mountain has a guardian, and within each level there's caves and there's different things you've got to battle and fight. And if you die, you go back to the village and you come back again. And it's you basically, and that went really well. And we started doing Zombie Squad, and so that's what I've been doing ever since, really. Wow, that's
so there's hope out there, and it just proves that if you work hard at something, you can do it. Because you're obviously in a house, you have a fiance. She hasn't ran away and left you. By the way, I'm available, dear. I mean, don't worry about my wife or the kid. That's And I live in the States. The weather's better. No, I'm just picking. That's really heartwarming, man. I too was homeless for about a year. I got out of the military, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was very young, and long story short, I thought I had a bunch of money saved, and it wasn't saved. And I lost everything. And all I had was the clothes on my back and a car. And I can tell you the nights, my wife, and I love my wife to death. She's my second wife. And she always, well, I don't want to, how do I put it polite? I don't want to cook something that you don't like. And I have to tell her, I said, honey, I lived out of my car. I've eaten out of garbage cans. I know what it's like to knock the maggots off a sandwich and eat it. I've been there. I have been there. And so whatever you put in front of me, I will eat, and I will not complain, because I'm just thankful that I have a person in my life that cares for me and is willing to cook for me. So it sounds like you're in that same boat, and I say kudos and congratulations to you, my friend.
That's a
beautiful thing.
Exactly. And it's those situations where you can take it one of two ways. You can either see it as an opportunity to improve yourself and do something different, or you could just fall apart and just let it wash over you, But
yeah.
But since then I've made some great friends on Facebook and online and stuff. I do a lot of my role playing online. I don't have a group where I am, but I made some great friends. I met some great friends in the industry, some great people. I
think if I'm not mistaken, I put you in touch with the guys over at Indie. Yeah.
Yeah. They're my new friends, which is great.
Yeah,
and it's good on Discord. Awesome. And I'm meeting great people. You know, the community we have for Ghost Ops is 200 plus strong, and they're great people. They're always putting stuff out. Most of them are ex-military themselves, and so they've been really helpful. A lot of advice they've given us, a lot of suggestions to make the game even more sort of realistic without making it overly too realistic. And it's amazing. It's brilliant. And I mean, another thing I like to sort of there's a current Kickstarter on the moment for a game called Quest by a guy called John Dodd. It's his first one. It's his first Kickstarter. It's already funded, but if you get a chance to check it out because it looks an amazingly different.
I tell you what, when we stop broadcasting and we go off, where we'll stay online and we'll chat for a minute. I'd like to ask you to Facebook me those links, and I'll make sure to put them in the show notes. Because we only have 2 viewers, and I'm not sure if that's just you and I. I don't know if the viewers considers it to be us.
I think my girlfriend's one of them. She's watching as well.
Oh, is she? Excellent. I'm sorry she has to look at this ugly mug. I apologize. My big, long, ugly gray beard that my wife utterly hates, and that's why I keep it. But that's I'm totally down for sharing the love, and it is such a small community. Just a little note I want to throw out there. A couple months back, there was a Kickstarter for Robotech. And the gentleman behind that is a huge Palladium fan. He doesn't work for Palladium. He did this. He's friends with Kevin, and I'll say his name wrong, but Symbiata, however he says it. And he did a Kickstarter for Robotech. And he put his heart and soul in it. Or I'm sorry, he didn't do the Kickstarter. He was backing it. And it was delayed, and there was all kinds of problems, and it was just ugly, and it got really out of hand, and it was 2 years behind, and backers weren't getting their stuff. And so he went on. He's a huge Palladium fan, and he went on there and he tried to say some nice things, tried to be helpful, and the community just ate him alive. And I'm telling you, my moniker is Mr. Mean for a reason. I don't really stand for a lot of hogwash, and I will stand up to people in public. I'm not a big guy. I'm 6 foot, 250 pounds. I'm not huge. I'm not muscular, but I won't stand for bullshit. And I had done a shout out on my video to him because the man tried to commit suicide. He was so downbeaten and just cyber bullied. And obviously he had other things going on in his life that were bad and not good. And so I did a post on it, and I closed the video to comments because our community is too small. I mean, you're around my age. You remember going to school. I remember distinctly my player's handbook fell out of my backpack. My advanced player's handbook for D&D fell out of my backpack. And I was on the football team. I was a running back in junior high. And so I was in with the cool kids. I was that kid that everybody liked. And my parents were okay. And, I played football. I played soccer. I played lacrosse. I grew up on the East Coast, in case anybody's wondering. And I remember my player's handbook fell out. And it was like the Red Sea parted. All those people that thought I was super cool all of a sudden didn't have time for me. Oh, I'm a gamer. I worship the devil. I'm a bad guy. And I mean, it made the rest of my high school year literally hell, just because I played role-playing games, because I had a creative imagination and I had to find an outlet for that. And it really hit me hard when I saw our community reach out and attack this guy who was just trying to help. And so long story short, he got the help he needed. And a couple months later, I got a private message through my YouTube channel saying that he was that person that I was speaking about and that he's doing much better. And I'm happy to say that he's gone on to bigger and better things and he's doing well. And, so it's easy to judge a book by its cover, but like you and myself as well, you lived out of your car, you had nothing, and now you have a successful, game publishing company, and you're helping other people. And that's the point I wanted to get across my little tirade there, is that don't become so big that you forget the people that helped get you where you are, and I think you're doing an excellent job by, reaching out to small publishers and getting more games knowledge that people just aren't aware of, So kudos to you, sir, and much props.
Well, I mean, one thing I want to do is make sure that if you've got a game idea and you want it out there but you're not sure about it, then we will help. We will not give you bad comments. We'll only help you as best we can. We'll give you advice, lead you in the right direction.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah, we'll give, and if it's great, we'll offer to help you with layout, with finding artists, all of that stuff. We'll help all of that. We'll even help you set up your Kickstarter pages and that sort of stuff. We'll help with that. And it's not about money. It's about getting more games out there, because the more games you have, the better the community will be, the better the hobby will be, the more variety there'll be. And it won't just be about D&D or Pathfinder or all those big games and that everybody knows how to play. It'll be about them little games that really matter, because they have a variety. That's what gives you a flavor to the whole hobby,
Yeah, and if you love your D&D, there's nothing to say that you can't play League of Seekers, or at least buy the book and then convert it into your D&D game. If you're a diehard D&D, I mean, how many gamers have other books on their game shelf? Even if I'm sure you know of a diehard D&D or a Pathfinder player that's probably got at least one Palladium book on their shelf, or some other game that they're using for ideas. Exactly. There's more room for all of the different types of RPGs that we want out there, because it's theater of the mind. There's no set rule. There's no set formula. There's no right. There's no wrong. It's what you enjoy. And my opinion is, if you're playing games and you're sitting around the table with your mates, threw that in there just for you, and you're sitting around the table with your friends and your pals, or the video camera, and you're having a good time and you're collaborative storytelling, or you're just kicking indoors and killing monsters and taking their treasure. The bottom line is, if you're having fun and the people with you in your little circle are having fun, then you're doing it right. That's exactly all that. If your buddy says, "Oh man, that game is shit. That game sucks," doesn't matter, as long as you're having fun.
Exactly.
If you're enjoying what you're doing in the time that you're doing it and the people you're doing it with, that is all that matters. And I get so mad when I go to conventions. I run a lot of demo games at conventions, and I hear people that'll come up and they'll say, "Oh, I've never tried that game." So then my first question is, "Oh, have you heard of it?" "Oh, yeah, I heard of it, but I've never tried it." So then I follow that question up with, "Why?" And, they never have a good answer.
Yeah.
They never have a good answer. To me, a good answer would be, "Well, it doesn't spark my interest," or "I just never had a chance to try it." That to me is a legitimate answer. It's not a good answer, but it is legitimate. So I'm like, well, then sign up, sit down and play it. And man, I can tell you, in my 20 years of doing this, I think I can't think of a game that I've ran at a convention where one of those 6 to 8 players doesn't get up from the table and go to the dealer's room and buy that game. And even if it's only one person, he's going to go back, he or she is going to go back to their gaming group, and they're going to say, "Hey man, I found this great game." And they may never mention me. And you know what? That's okay, because it's not about me. It's about the game. And if they play that game with their friends and then their friends go out and buy the book, man, we've just done a great thing. And it's because of people like you that have that creativity, that make these games, that people like me can do the stuff that we love to do. So again, thank you. I mean, it's important, and it's an important part of our society and, youth development. I run a lot of games for kids that don't have dads, or, are on suicide, watch and things like that. And a lot of times when I get free copies of games, I give it to those kids. Because it's a great thing to do. These kids, they don't have father figures. They don't have moms. They're in a shit way, and being homeless and living on the street. I know what they're going through. And so they're games, whether it's a board game, Monopoly, checkers, League of Seekers, Palladium, Pathfinder, it gives you hope. It gives you something to look for. And it might just be that one thing that keeps you from doing something stupid for the rest of your life that you'll regret, and so games are just mondo important in my eyes,
Exactly. It takes you out of that shit reality that you could be in and puts you somewhere else where you can control it.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And a lot of what you just said also goes with game design. You may have a great idea. Don't be despondent if somebody comes up on Reddit or wherever, or whatever social network you're going on, and they go, "Oh, it's a shit idea." Don't worry about it. Do it anyway. If you like the idea, you think it's a great idea, run with it.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. let me ask you this: when you were doing Delve, that sounds like it was one of your first ones, right?
Was yeah, pretty much.
Did you run it for your friends and they go, oh man, I don't think that's gonna, that you should throw that away. Did you get any of that?
No.
So you had good friends around you and people.
The only time I had a bad feedback on anything or any idea I had was when I approached. I went onto an online community and discussed doing a Powered by the Apocalypse version of Zombie Squad. And we had an awful lot of people come on there and say, oh, this is not true to the genre. This is not how it should be. This is, you're breaking it. This is not how it's supposed to be run. Blah, 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 blah. A lot of people aren't going to want to play this because it's not, how Powered by the Apocalypse is done. And then Vincent Baker actually came on himself and said, do what you want.
Yeah, there you go.
You want to make the game like that? Do it. It's up to you. It's yours.
Because that's what Powered by the Apocalypse is about.
Exactly.
That's why he made the game.
And everybody shut up at that point. So it was. I've always thanked D. Vincent Baker for that, because it's the best piece of advice I've ever had when I started building games is do what you want. Nobody likes it, tough. Don't do it for them. Do it for you.
Right. Adam Cobell talks about that. I don't know if you've ever watched his channel, but he talks about when he was doing Dungeon World, they tore him up. Yeah, that's a stupid idea. We've got D&D. Why do we need a Powered by the Apocalypse, fantasy crawl? That's stupid. Exactly. And it's one of the top selling RPGs out there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so there you go. So the moral here, kids, is do what you like. Don't listen. Peer pressure is just that, peer pressure. I don't know what else we can yak about, my friend. Have we covered everything? Is there anything else you want to go over?
No, I think that's pretty much it. We have got a cat. So if you don't back League of Seekers, the cat will get it.
I'm hungry. You could just send him to me.
Yeah, hold on a second.
Mr. Mean's going to eat a cat.
Yep, so here he is.
Oh, and he's black. Oh, yeah. There was a role-playing game years ago that had an alien that was holding a baby seal, and he had a blaster, and he had like a tentacle. He didn't have fingers. He just had his tentacles wrapped around a blaster. It was a BTRC, I believe, is the game, Battle Lords of the 23rd Century. And it was said, buy this game or he gets, buy this game or else. And there's a little cute seal with the big, puppy dog eyes looking at you. So, yeah, you got to make that a video. Just put you up there with you can't do that nowadays because all the animal liberals will kill you. But I get the sentiment and I appreciate it. So I don't think we have anything more to really talk about. We're going to stay online off air so you and I can hammer out some details. But I'd love to get you on again to go over one of your successful Kickstarters when the physical product is out, and maybe get you to pimp it and show it off. And maybe we'll get your lovely soon-to-be wife on air as well, since I can hear her in the background. And we'll go from there. But those that are listening and those that will watch this in the future when I post it to YouTube later on tonight, I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank James for spending his time to come on here and chat with Mr. Mean. Hopefully we'll do more of these with other game designers. There were several people on my channel that asked me to do this, said you should do this, because everyone keeps telling me I have a face for radio. I don't know what that means. Of course I know what it means, you bastards. But I do enjoy doing this. James, thank you for taking time, because it's like 6 o'clock over there across the pond, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
just half 6.
Yeah. So probably cutting into your dinner time, and I apologize, but I appreciate you taking the time out to chat with me. It was most informational and most enjoyable, and I'm looking forward to all of the great products that you're going to be putting out. And we'll get those links in the show notes. And definitely, I'd like to get some of those links from your friends' games that are doing their Kickstarters. Maybe I think I'm just short of 300 viewers, but even if 10 of those guys and gals go and sign up for those games, that helps out the community. So I really appreciate you coming on. So we're going to hang up now. We're going to call it quits. We'll say goodbye to everybody out there in the world of Mr. Mean. And James and I will keep chatting for a bit. And that part won't go on YouTube, though. You guys take care. We love you. And as always, Mr. Mean says, be nice.